Hello, welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast with Gary Thwaites and Eddie Sutton, coming live from the French Alps. Extra points to Eddie if she can tell you exactly where I am.
Thanks for the intro, Stuart, and sorry for the delay. And sorry, if you've sent in an intro and it's not been played yet, it's just because we're just making our way through the backlog. Yeah, but Eddie, extra points if you know where it is.
Do you know, it's like looking at a really familiar scene and I can't quite pinpoint exactly. Stuart, where are you? I can hear the sound of my friends, the Alpenkais. I can see a little farm in the back in a grassy track. Are you at the top of Col de Cou or are you at the little bowl in Col de Cou? Maybe you're going to go, I'm not there at all, Eddie. Anyway, I loved seeing it and loved hearing the sound of the Alpine cows.
People share, where am I on the Lakeland 100 route or maybe the Bob Graham route? And it's like, even though I've done it countless times, it's like, I don't know where that cairn is. Welcome to episode 89. It's raining in the northeast, Eddie. What's it like up in Bonnie, Scotland?
Up in Bonnie, Scotland, there's a low, I'd say, as the locals say, it's a bit dreek. It's a wee bit dreek this morning, Gary.
Dreek? Oh, I thought you said bleak. Dreek, that's an awesome
Dreek
word.
and dreek, isn't it?
Oh.
It thumbs up my mood as well, I tell you.
Well, this week we chat with Shane Ohly, and there ain't no party like a Shane Ohly party. Brew with the coaches, tales from the trails. Pop over to our Strava club, and the moment you've all been waiting for, we will share our weekly deets.
Thank you to our Patreon partners who share some awesome discount codes with all our wonderful patrons. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Velo Forte, Protein Rebel, Tiki Boo, Mountain Fuel, Outdoor Active, Silver Sweden, Active Route, The Centurion Running Store, Sportshoes.com, Big Bubble Hats, Harrier Trail Running, X Miles, Fawnside Farm Cottages, Yugoku Projects, Hellfire Events, Red Bear Sports, The Alban Map, Retainer Group Cycle Protection, Summit Crazy, Beat It Sports, Lumi Activewear, Phoenix Lights UK, Bridgedale Socks, Now 4, NAC Nutrition, and Ultra Trail 2. Extra shout out to Precision Fuel and Hydration and Protein Rebel. We use their products every day to help fuel, hydrate, and recover. Thanks for coming on board, Harriet. It's just a trial period. Let's see how this discount code goes. The code ends on 31st of October. So get using it, guys. Get using it. I don't think people realize. The only things people say about the intro with the Patreon partners is how long it is. I have to listen to it every week. First of all, before you come at me, I would say you try reading that out without making a mistake. And secondly, awesome discount codes. And they take quite a lot of hustle. Gary's in the hustle for these discount codes. He is incredible. He does that awkward bit where he asks people and I'm on the Zoom call too and I'm like, oh, it's so good. But it takes a lot of guts to sort it all out. So big thanks to you, Gary, because I know lots of people use them and it's not easy in this day and age to get people to take a little bit of discount off. So we appreciate all the companies that do give us a discount code, and we equally appreciate you patrons for coming on board Patreon and for using the codes as well.
If you would like to save some money, support the podcast, support our partners, then please consider joining Patreon. It's like a circle. I think that's how the whole
I joined
works.
Patreon for another podcast last week, Gary.
Whoa, running podcast or?
It is a running podcast, I know. But I felt like, I enjoy listening to this. It's probably the only one that I listen to regularly. Yeah. If it's there, I feel a little like, oh yes, I've got something that I know I'm going to enjoy listening to. And so I thought, I'm going to go full circle and I'm going to go back into Patreon and Patreon them up. Thank you to our sponsors, Precision Fuel Hydration, X Miles, Beta Outdoor Sports, and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Our Patrons, you can get 15% off over at Precision Fuel Hydration. Also, if you'd like to try Precision Fuel Hydration, new customers can get 15% off their first order with the code CAPSOCT24. And if you'd like to try some Protein Rebel as well, you can. We also have a great code for you there, 15% off. And it's capital T and then the word tea, that delicious brown liquid that I drink about 20 cups a day, T15. All links to all our sponsors and all the codes can be found over in the show notes and over at www.teaandtrails.com. I watched as much as I could the Ironman, I'm sure you were glued to it as well, the Women's Ironman World Championships, which was in Nice on Sunday, and Precision Fuel and Hydration were heavily involved in the sponsorship. First time I think I've seen them actually, they were on the show, they were all over the course. Well, that was great to see. I wonder if the product was being given out at aid stations as well, but they were definitely all over that. So I enjoyed seeing that. They did a really good, interesting study on comparing the women's pro field and the women's age group triathlon field about how many carbs per hour they were taking. And the women's elite were taking between 110 and 120 grams average, and the age groupers were taking 70. I thought that's really interesting.
Interesting,
But I also thought, the pros probably get it all for free as well. I bet if they're like us, they'll be like, "What? Do I need this gel? That's £4."
Well, it's a big consideration. Wow.
It's a big consideration.
If you're doing
isn't it?
like Ironman, wow, that's you know more than me. But if you were to be a very competitive age group, what kind of time are you looking at for an Ironman?
You're looking at like 10 hours. Depends on the course, of course, 10 to 11 hours. But also for training, the pros would have the ability to train with all that fuel and to constantly try, okay, how much can I put in? Whereas it is expensive for us that have to buy the fuel to then train with it as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a big consideration. I had a go on my long run. I was like, right, I'm going to try 80 grams. To me is quite a lot per hour. It feels like a lot. It feels like I've just, so I really tried. My God, I got through like packets and packets of stuff. You don't need to eat sports fuel, but it's a really good way of knowing exactly what you're eating and how many grams of carbs you're taking in.
If you want to keep control of those numbers. Yeah, it's super. So I've portioned up on my precision fuel and hydration, carb and electrolyte drink mix. I'm ready, but because I didn't have enough to get me through the time I think I might get to the finishing, I had to cut my portion down slightly. So instead of it being like 34 gram portions, it's like 25 grams. I just got an extra couple of... I
could have shouted you a couple of gels.
Oh, no, gels are fine. It's the drink mix. It's the drink mix that...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't use that. How are you? Do you know, how often do you say to people, how are you? And how often do you actually want them to reply?
Well, that is why you don't say to people, are you all right? Because basically you don't want to know the negatives.
What do you say? What should I say?
How are you? You should say, how are you?
How are you? Tell us. We all really know.
My cold is improving, but yes,
you still don't sound good as a professional speaker.
Is it filthy? Is it in the filthy cold bracket? I'm not too sure. I feel a load better, but yes, it's sitting on my nose now. I can look at a screen without my eyes streaming. So from that point of view, and looking ahead, yes, for the 13 Valleys, I'm in a better place. But we are Monday now. When this goes out on Friday, hopefully I'll have had a week of recovery. It's nice, it's a taper week. So the load of running shouldn't need too much to recover. I'm going to go TV first. TV for the week. Colin from Accounts. I bet you loads of our listeners watch Colin from Accounts. It's the second series now, 30 minutes. We talked about, was it last week you were reaching out for TV suggestions? Well, this is hilarious. And I don't think it's for kids. Depends on how old your kids are, but yeah, it's super hilarious. 30 minutes. So
30 minutes. Perfect.
We're watching, what's that Saul? It's the Breaking Bad spin-off. I can't remember the actual title of the show, but that's like a 40 odd minutes, an hour long. So that, you got to pick and choose when you can watch that.
Ooh,
30 minutes. And you've got two series. So if you've never watched Colin from Accounts, got two series over on iPlayer to catch up. Workout wise, I did the 3 times 8 minutes incline on the treadmill. I love the incline treadmill.
The incline does the work. So actually you don't have to move that fast because you can't move that fast. So it's almost a brain dead, and there's no oh my God, I'm running so slow because...
Just hide behind the hill. It's awesome. I absolutely love it. And again, how would you do this with a treadmill? Because when I do this one was 3 times 8 minutes, and say a mile repeat. If I was doing marathon training, I would like to keep that pace consistent. So for a chunk of that workout, I might not be in the heart rate zone, but I really don't want to fade towards the end.
Yeah.
So I like to set a level of effort where it probably takes me 2 or 3 minutes to get into it, but I never go out of it. Is that right? Or would you go...
Perfection. No. Because if you start too high, as you would and so your heart rate goes up quicker within 40 seconds, your heart rate is then going to go above the zone that you want it to go in. You need to build into it. And all these hard sessions are all about being consistent, being able to do it, come off it without being injured, without being overtired and going, I could do, I could probably do 4 by 8 minutes. Could probably do 5 by 8 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I always look at, so 3 times 8, you've got like 24 minutes. So you probably get about 20 minutes of work actually in that right zone. I always find that super interesting to then go back in my heart rate data and see how actually long I was in that zone. That's great. That's exactly where you are heading into the taper as well, about 20 minutes in that zone. If you were doing this like 6 weeks out, I would say do 4, which you probably did as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
So
well, not this time around, but normally I would do, yeah,
nearer 30 minutes in that zone as well. So I love it. Yeah, so you don't want to go up into that heart rate unless if you're doing like a shorter, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that's when you jump up into that. But people of our age, Gary, as well, we need that couple of minutes just to we get so much better out of our body if we allow ourselves to build into it, but if you're 21 and listening to this, jump right in. You can hold it. I remember I used to do like 10 by 3 minutes, just flat out, just like as fast as I would just ramp that. My hamstrings would. But yeah,
the only thing I don't do is strides. The workout would say it's like a couple of mile warm up, which is great. I run to the gym and then it says 2 or 3 or 4 strides just to kind of get the legs working. I never seem to do the strides.
I would do like 5 minutes before that at like a really good clip with a low incline, with like a 2-3% maybe, and I would do that at like a good breathing pace, and that would help me. Then I would move up into the main session instead of strides, probably, for that session.
I've mourned probably the past 3 or 4 weeks. I'm really struggling to do any form of mobility, so I've been back on the foam roller.
Well done.
Flossing out my lower back.
How do you floss out your lower back? What do you do?
Basically, grab my knee and just.
Do you do the Jesus? I do the Jesus twist. Arms out like that, and then you twist around knee.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, I do that too. I have to do. We'll maybe talk about this. That how pressed I feel for time at the moment, and adding Rex. I don't want to hate on Rex. My goodness me, I love that little boy. I didn't have the luxury of time in my week, basically, and now I've lost an hour and a half a day through walking Rex. So if I I've worked it out, basically, I come in from my morning walk with Rex, I have to lie down on that carpet, put BBC Breakfast on, and that is the win.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Catch up on some current affairs, Labour Party conference at the moment, so I was interested in that. Yeah, if I miss that window, my goodness me, that is...
You've got to do it first thing, after a little bit of mobility, it's a perfect time after the dog walk when you're a little bit, you've got a bit of synovial fluid going in your joints again. But you're right, if you don't do it then... When are you going to do it? I hear you.
Well, because Lisa wants to do mobility, so when she comes in from work in the evening, if I think, I'll do it later, I'll get booted off the carpet. Lisa wants to do
you get in the kitchen, get cooking. I'm hungry. I want my tea.
I'm thinking I've got a water filter, one of those little, it's not a Solomon one.
Don't worry about it. By the time that food poisoning hits, you'll be done. Don't waste your time filtering water. Just put it in, just drink whatever. Honestly, it's not gonna hit your stomach.
Yeah, but I don't want to be ill afterwards. So I'm with you. I don't remember the last time I filtered any water. But the reason why I brought it up is if you have a water bottle with a water filtration system, but then I'll fill it up with my Precision Fuel and Hydration carbon electrolyte drink, will that filter out some of the stuff I'm supposed to be getting from the drink? So I'm not going to get as much electrolyte and carb because it's in the filter. You're laughing. This is a genuine.
I do not feel good. I got no energy. I'm just drinking this pure crystallized water.
So if that's the case, if somebody's actually tested,
I don't know how a filter works. I honestly think just fill out your water. If the streams are flowing freely, you be fine. This is just me. You don't need to do this if you're listening thinking Eddie doesn't filter the water. I'm not going to filter the water. Eddie said, but if I was out racing, if I was training and I had all the time in the world, I'd filter my water. But if I'm racing, it just goes straight in the bottle. Don't look at it. Just drink it and I'll cope with the fallout. I'm going to be sick after. I'm already sick during the race, so I'm going to be sick anyway. Might as well. Apparently the UK water I was reading today is like the worst water, so full of like microplastics and chemicals.
I saw this. Who was pushing that on Facebook? Bear Grylls. Yeah. He's flogging something, so he's I saw him on Facebook.
He's got his water filter out.
So yeah, but it is a heavy pack because there's lots of kit. If the weather turns.
What is the weather looking like?
Forecast is looking sensational. I checked up on Helvellyn too. I know we don't go on Helvellyn. People don't call me out for saying that, but we do go high, and I figured, well, we don't go as high as Helvellyn, so it's a good place to check. Wet during the week. And I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's looking pretty settled. Temperatures, okay, cloudy, but not much chance of rain. Well, Monday, obviously this will go out on a Friday. It could be biblical before then. So, yeah, planning for the extreme kit. And I'll take a few extras too. This question's come up on the 13 Valleys Facebook group. Somebody was asking, surely by now they know what the kit's going to be for the day. But literally, I think last year issued it's hours. It changes hourly. So I'm going over there with multiple packs and multiple kit choices too. That's the plan. Sunday gym with George. Because I didn't want to make this my comeback week before 13 Valleys. I did a bit of upward bodies, testing out the guns and the pecs. I thought I'd
still there, just flex.
Still got it. Yeah. Again, I'm not time rich. So when George said, do you want to go to the gym? I'm thinking, well, that's a 40-minute walk there and a 40-minute walk back and an hour in the gym. That's 3 hours gone. I'm thinking,
God.
I really don't want to, but when your boy reaches out, you've just got to.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. So it was nice, nice to spend 3 hours together, but I guess no weights ahead of 13 Valleys. I didn't want that to be my comeback. And a lovely end to the week. I had a call from my daughter, Esme, on Sunday night.
Oh, well, and she enjoying the course?
She is loving it. Absolutely living her best life up in Edinburgh, right smack bang in the middle of the city. And she joined a gym, which I am blown away. We've never pushed our kids to do anything like that. Lisa took her swimming for a little while. She didn't really enjoy it. She was super good at swimming. It's such a disappointment when she decided she didn't want to go again. We introduced Esme to Sedgefield Harriers when I was more of an active member, to be honest. And their approach to athletics when the kids are that small, it's very play-based. So it wasn't like heavy full on. They let them do javelin it's not javelin. It's like those kind of foam missiles. But they let them test out loads of different stuff. So we've always introduced the kids to exercise, but we've never really forced it on them. And obviously, Lisa and I are pretty active people. So to see my little girl join the gym in Edinburgh, it was like, she's aware that being healthy should be in everybody's life, I think. So, super pleased to see that. So I'm pretty happy with the week, to be honest. It is taper. I feel like after my 6 weeks of no structure, there's been 2 weeks of structure. So mentally, I feel a lot better for that.
Tick, tick. Everyone's alive. Oh, yes. There's no exciting, there's no content. That's quite a good word, isn't it? There's no podcast content friendly adventures. There's been a few, but they are X-rated. There's no exciting runs to share. Literally, ticked along. I had a few nice little jogs with the dogs. I'm feeling this commute to the kids' school and back is killing me. It's killing me. I won't lie to you, Gary. I'm living out the car. I am just grateful for podcasts keeping me company and the odd person that I ring and say, but it's hurting my knees, my back. That thing in that car is the runner's apps. It's a runner's pitfall is driving, and so I'm just trying to do. I am having to do my mobility like 4 times a day. I get out the car at school, and the kids are like, "Can we go?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just going to need a little walk around before I get back into this car." I'm not by choice, just by the fact that the Friday when I like to do my long run, I didn't have the time, and then Saturday, I didn't have the time, so I had to do my long run on Sunday this week. We had to get our French van back to France. It meant driving to meet the guy who was buying it and then driving back. It was a 4-hour round trip. Poor kids. One day they didn't have to do the drive to school. We had to drive them past school and further on to go. Anyway, our van, we had some adventures. I was almost more sad saying goodbye to our van than I was to our house in France.
Oh, wow.
Not really. But that van has been, we've done everywhere. We were like, that van, it's been stuck in the snow. Bryn's dad's driven it into the snow, got stuck in the snow. It's had like skis in it, it's had bikes in it, it's had kids going to parties, it's had dogs, it's had Lindy coming back as a puppy, it's had on the side. So he looked around the van. He's bought it now, so I could say it on the podcast. We signed over the deeds. It says on the side of the dents, when we were looking around, it was like, where's that dent from? Where's that dent from? I was like, well, that was the time when I got stuck at the ski race there. And that was the time when I got stuck in the underground car park. It had seen a life well lived. And I had forgotten that on the door, on one of the panels of the door, Evie, for some reason, she must have been one, or she was sort of standing up. She's trying. She'd got a stone and drew like a person on the whole side of the panel. And it's very faint, but you can definitely see it. And I stood there thinking, has he seen that there's like this stick man drawn in the side of the door? Anyway, I had to come clean. I remember the evening coming clean with Bryn going, she's drawn on the side of the door. And he turned to me and he said, what were you doing while she was drawing on the side of the door then? Oh, I'll tell you what, that was a moment. He regretted the minute he said it. He obviously thought, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And I went, lost it. And that was years ago. I'm so over it, as you could tell. Anyway, we left our little, even like the seats are like frayed from where I've got in and out of the van every day, like in and out the van. I thought it's a little time of our life. Hopefully it will go on to someone else that can rag it even more. But we were sad to see it go, but also what a relief. It's good. But it was the end. It's like our last bit. It's our last little connection to France.
I think a van more than a car. You do have those memories. You gather memories in a van.
You trash, because you could chuck like it's been camping. It's been on everything with us. It didn't know it was going. Now it had gone off. Anyway, but it was a relief. It was a worry. And we were a 3-car family at one point, and that was too much for us. So we dropped that off. Then we were a bit longer doing that than we thought we'd be driving back. Kids are like, it's 1:30. Oh, Gary, still have a long run to do. And there was no lunch. So we said, should we just go to McDonald's for a real special treat to have some lunch? I was so hungry. I was up for this. So we all had a McDonald's. I had a...
It's disappointing sometimes, isn't it?
It wasn't it's not good, but it filled a gap. Anyway, we drove on, and then the plan was I was going to get dropped off couple of hours from home and run back across the moors back home. Seemed like a good idea. Got out the car. Oh my God, this is not... I was so dehydrated. Should have had some sort of liquid with my McDonald's, but I just had a cup of tea. That was a disaster. Started off. Anyway, it was a lovely run, but I got a blister on one of my whole toe blistered. Maybe I was just really dehydrated, or my toes got really fat from the burger. I don't know why. It ruined the whole run because it hurt so much. I had to keep stopping.
You never get blisters. You never normally get blisters with these shoes.
Never get like, what the hell? I think because my foot got wet and going through the bogs. And by the time, it just took me ages. I chose a different, everything hurt. I hated it. I did not enjoy it. And I sent Bryn a voice note saying, by the way, so that you know, I'm not enjoying this. And also McDonald's is not a good pre-long run snack of choice. I thought I might feel great. Loads of calories, I'll be like, what? Anyway, I didn't get back then until about 6:30. Sunday night, Bryn had done everything. All the kids had done their homework. They packed all their bags. They'd been up and played golf. He'd walked the dogs. The Tesco delivery had come in and packed it. He'd hoovered the house. I was like, I must have been
still on Instagram.
Yeah. God, there's a lot of Instagramming between all that, I'm sure, as well. Anyway, ticked off another week. I'm not feeling fresh. I'm not feeling sparky. So I'm going to swap a few runs out this week for some more bikes. I do a couple of bikes a week, but I'm going to do a bit more and see if I can get my quads a little bit more. I think this is all I could think of when I was talking to Bryn, who listens to me, but I can tell he glaze over. He's thinking about Instagram as I'm talking to him. I think I've done like 3 weeks. This is now going into my 4th week of running, and I'm not used to running so much. I'm just not used to running. But though my volume is probably a little bit less, I'm running more than I've run in the past 10 years, because half of my volume would have been hiking, jogging up or jogging down. There wasn't actually that much running in my program when we were in France. So I think maybe my legs are really sore as well from all the running. So I'm being mindful of that and being kind to myself, trying not to think, I struggled running 17 miles on Sunday. I've got to run 212 weeks time. It seems impossible. It's
the perception, isn't it? The workout, whatever it is you're doing. When you're doing, this 200 odd miles, you won't even have those thoughts. until maybe 60 miles.
No, you're right. And I never do. You never even think about it because it's just not sometimes you do think, oh my God, I feel really tired. I'm not even at the first checkpoint. But yeah, you're right. I know I have to believe that. And I have to do what I say all the time. Just trust the process. Just keep on turning up. And one day my body will succumb to my charms and go, oh yeah, this is what I meant to do. Oh, I remember. Okay. Anyway, it's all fine. Still remember. Are you a member of the 5 a.m. club, Gary, or did that just last a week?
It's a bit loosey-goosey.
I've seen, I had a few looks at this time of your Strava walks. I was like,
I'm pretty good when Lisa's on 4 on 4 off, basically. So when she's on, I'm up. When she's off,
fair enough.
Snooze.
She doesn't want you getting up. Yeah, I did snooze one day last week. My alarm went off and I just thought, just 5 more minutes. I woke up at 6:20, Gary. Oh my God. I shot out of bed and then had to get the kids, or 3 kids, 2 dogs, ready and out the door by 7 o'clock. Can be done, but it's not a pleasant situation to be in. Won't do that again. I don't mind getting up early. It's just by 8 o'clock, I'm done. I am done. So looking forward to
I have to be in bed.
Podcasting schedule all this week.
If I'm not in bed by 9, it's not happening.
Oh, but isn't it? I do enjoy getting up early because by 9, I'm asleep at 9. Which I love. I love the fact that I get into bed and there's no problem going to sleep. I put on my podcasts. Bryn loves that too. Lucky Bryn. What are we listening to now?
Romance. When the alarm goes at 5, that's normally when
you've already been up for a pee, haven't you?
Well, no, see, I normally would get up for a wee. And sometimes when I do the 5 a.m. club, it seems to be natural. I'd wake up before I've had a wee, so I feel like
there doesn't seem to be anybody else in my 5 a.m. club because I get up and I go out and there's nobody else out and about. Where are all the people in the club?
That's how I like it. That's exactly how I like it. Nobody about.
Can you imagine we live near each other? You'd be trying to walk Rex in peace. I'd be like, so I've seen that email. Let's talk about it. Be like, too early, Eddie.
I've had some sensational conversations with early dog walkers. Learn a lot about my local community.
And but people walking without dogs too, then I give them even bigger credit.
If I saw someone at 5 a.m, I'd feel relatively safe. I'm having this weird transition to nighttime running at the moment where I've got myself freaked out a couple of times doing a, say, 8 o'clock run or a 7:30 run. Just not ready for that. The dark nights, early mornings, fine. I saw
a man, so I didn't see anybody on my run apart from one person, my long run on Sunday. And right across the moor, I could see him coming. I thought, that looks like a person. It's not a sheep coming towards me. And as he got closer, I thought, oh, he's in army kit. And I thought, okay, I'm quite used to in France. I know this is awful, but in France, you just meet the hunters with their guns all the time. Yeah. You go around the corner and they will be there with their rifles, probably shooting. So I thought, oh, he's got and then I got close. I was like, oh, he's holding a gun. Oh my God. What should I do? So turn off any noise, make myself I stop running because I want to be ready. So I start walking with purpose. Didn't have my poles, which would have been good, and give myself space to him. We've got to cross because we've got to go on the path. And I thought, why is he maybe he's had to kill a sheep or something, or a deer or something. Okay, don't be scared. As I got close to him, I realised he's not an army kit. He's just in a black t-shirt. He's not carrying a gun. He's just carrying his poles. He's just not using them. So really, he's no threat at all. But in my head, about 20 meters away, I thought, oh my God, he's an army guy with a gun. I'm gonna die. Get ready. Just a nice old guy just out for a hike, and this woman who's absolutely gone past and going, oh God. Thanks, Beta Outdoor Sports, for supporting Brew the Coaches. They distribute brands like Ultimate Direction, Knockaround Sunglasses, BV Sports, Catula Spikes, Instinct Running, and Injinji Toe Socks too. Yet full 13 Valleys kit test last week. Double thumbs up. Hopefully, there's no need for ice spikes. I don't think we're going to be in minus digits for this weekend. This week's question comes from Patreon Aubrey Anderson. We quite often get to these questions too late, so apologies if you send in a question and you think, my goodness me, my race has already gone now and they're answering it. But it's just the way it happens. But a herniated disc, I've definitely suffered with a herniated disc, and I'm pretty sure loads of our community have too.
A month ago, having suffered for a month or so with sore lower back / leg pain, my physio and I agreed it was time for an MRI to see if there was something going on. The results showed a mild herniated disc in the lumbar spine. I'm a mid-pack ultra runner and due to be on the start line for the Curry Way Ultra 100k on the 6th of September. Training is going okay apart from the mild herniated disc. I do a fair bit of distance and I've already knocked out 2 shorter ultras this year, not to mention a heavy 2023 with the UTS Snowdonia 100k. So my body takes a reasonable amount of bashing. Anyhow, the question is, given the herniated disc, is there anything the coaches would suggest or recommend? Obviously, not running is not an option. Both my coach and physio are okay with me continuing to run, but the physio advised me to ease off the strength and condition for a little bit. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Aubrey Anderson. I'm always curious with the strength and conditioning because I think everything gets thrown under strength and conditioning. I know I've had a herniated disc in the past and my physio, it was like light body weights and lots of body movement and that kind of stuff, but they never said, don't do strength and conditioning. But obviously, I have no idea what kind of strength and conditioning they're talking about. Is anyone had a herniated disc? Russell?
I had a slipped disc. I think it's similar. And I started looking into the physiology of it, and it's such a complicated injury. And there's just so much going on in the back, lower back. It's postural muscles that are on all the time, which makes it really, really difficult to heal. And then obviously you've got your nervous system, all these nerves running right through there, so things can get inflamed, pain can come from nowhere. It's just a really complicated takes a long time to heal. I wasn't recommended to not do S&C, but the S&C that I did was very focused on the abs, which massively protect the lumbar region. And a lot of the reasons why we're getting lumbar strains and they're becoming more prevalent is our abs are getting weaker because we're sitting down too much. So I spent a lot of time working on my abs, and that did seem to relieve the pain. It's one of those injuries where it's never linear. You can have good days and bad days, and you just kind of have to accept that. And often it can feel like it's awful right up until the point where it miraculously clears up. And I've had experience with that. So it doesn't mean that you're just not progressing. It's just the signals are messed up and confused, and you can't always tell what is healing and what's not working. But 2 things that I found and I prescribed that worked really well. One was active rest or semi-supine position. If you look up on YouTube, it's an Alexander technique actually, but it's just basically lying on your back with your knees bent and a book under your head. And that gives your lumbar region a chance to fully relax, which it never really gets a chance to do while you're standing. And you will feel, as if you lie there for 20 minutes, that your lower back starts to get lower to the ground and that arch disappears. And that is just giving that whole region a chance to just let go and relax. But you might not even find when you're sleeping, depending on your position, that it ever gets a chance to do that. That really helps me shift it. The other one is running on a treadmill on an incline, which is random. But if you can get on a treadmill and putting the incline up, it just takes that element of gravity off a little bit. There are obviously anti-G treadmills, but they cost a fortune. You don't find many in this country. But running on a treadmill with an incline, and I've prescribed that with a lot of success, because you might find that if you get the balance right with the speed and the incline, that you can run with almost no pain, because you're just not getting that constant force of gravity, and you can stay really fit. So you feel like you're doing something, and you're staying fit. So psychologically as well, it feels good to still be able to train and move. But I would certainly look at strengthening your abs, your core, whatever you want to call it. Pilates, isometric holds, things like that are really going to help protect your lower back. It's normally weakness there that's led to pain in your lower back. If you don't want to call it S&C, fine, call it something else. But I find that those things help the most.
Hi, Aubrey. I too have had a herniated disc, and I feel your pain, literally, metaphorically. We're not medically trained, but I would be cautious about easing off the S&C. I wonder if your physio meant like deadlifts, heavy lifting, ease off that a bit. I would echo what Russell said in the fact that I found Pilates and yoga really helped. Some of the Pilates had to be adapted. Obviously, if the back is in, if you're going through a particularly painful time, or is it actually painful lying on your back? Quite a lot of Pilates is lying on your back driven. But if you've got, I wouldn't do an online class. I would try and find an instructor as well who can adapt as well. I think it's tough because with a disc, you do have to move through a certain amount of pain as well, and it's learning your body as well. And I think movement really does help with backs, and with the leg pain that you described. The nerves actually need to be reset, and you need to move in order to reset that. And that does take different pain. And as Russell said, you have good days and bad days, but it isn't forever as well. But it is something that probably, like Russell, we have to work on. We have to make sure that we do keep a strong core, that we do move. I have to be really careful about where I sit. Like an old lady. Things that really don't help are like buses, aeroplanes, sitting in that
journeys. Oh my goodness me.
Bucket seat is terrible. And I know as well that if I do have a long journey or I'm going to be sitting in a seat, I need to sit properly. Sometimes sitting on a like those cushions that you get for hemorrhoids really helps, because it helps take the pressure off your lower back. I can't have anything, so I have to be really careful about the way I pack my backpack if I'm doing long distance and I need quite heavy backpack, that nothing is on my back, on my disc, that might set it off. That's what happened to me at Cape Wrath Ultra, is that I had the GPS knocking on the disc in the backpack. That caused a terrible inflammation of the disc. So you just need to be really careful as well and learn how to manage. But I would say, don't be put off. Keep moving. Bye, Russell. The last thing that you want to do is to stop moving. Keep moving. You just need to work out the right balance for you and what works well. And maybe try and find a strength and conditioning coach that works with people with herniated disc, who can actually prescribe you some exercises that you can do safely that will help build your strength as well.
It sounds like it's the same for you, Eddie. Although I'm not suffering at the moment, I have to be constantly aware of it. Car journeys, etc., trigger it. And I will do something similar to what Russell said. Actually, I'll lie my back for a long time. And I mentioned before when I brew with the coaches, it's like a flossing motion.
That's why Pilates is so good for it. I know you love Pilates, Gary. You're always.
I don't know, it's just an experiment of one. And I am not a physio. I'm not qualified to tell people exercise. But for me, I just notice that release. And it's just like, oh my goodness. And actually, I find it quite relaxing too.
Now we're talking about it, it triggers me a little bit. I'm like, oh, my back.
Yeah.
My back.
What about you, Trish?
Generally, in my experience, with back issues, the advice from professionals has always been to lay off the heavy S&C, but to continue strength and conditioning. And obviously that's got to be, it's got to be within the parameters of what you're able to do. But, I'm a big believer in the whole rest is rust thing. You've got to, movement is crucial, is absolutely crucial to us. So, but it's about balance as well. And again, I'm not a fan of, we tend to want to push through as runners. That's a real trait for a lot of us, to push through that pain. But you don't want to be training all the time with pain. Like that's not good. That's definitely a no. I wouldn't want any of my athletes training with pain all the time, like in that kind of situation. But at the end of the day, I'd say you've got to monitor it yourself. What is appropriate in terms of manageable, and if your physio and your coach are on board with that, they'll know your training history, they'll know what the details of your injury. My top advice would just be to really link in with those guys. When I have an issue, when one of my coach athletes have an issue, we're communicating. The communication is just through the roof, because as a coach, I want to know every single piece. Like, did it hurt when you ate your breakfast this morning? Not quite that level, but
what did you have for breakfast? Oh, good choice. Frosties.
Yeah, well done you. But yeah, it's you've got to
takes a
have
team, doesn't it? It takes a team. It's not something you want to do.
Team effort. And the other key thing I'd say is don't hold back in terms of what you're telling your coach and your physio. You've got to be 100% honest about what's going on and what's happening, and only then can they really help you, because you all need that full picture. Don't hold back because you want to do this race. The race will be there. If you need a bit longer, there's plenty of races.
You don't want to be crippled, do you? And I think as well,
back's a serious thing, right?
It's a serious thing. You don't want to be. We can sort of be like, yeah. But I mean, I took when my disc was seriously inflamed, probably a year. It took me a year to, it was a long time for me to, but what I want to give you is a bit of hope. You can come back from it and you can manage it, but you just need to be careful. The other thing is to really carefully look at your load as well, how much load you put through this disc, and making sure that you sort of help that disc in the fact that, yes, I need to do this much load in order to run 100K. But I did a lot in that year when my back was really bad. I did a lot on the turbo to keep the volume and keep that cardiovascular. I didn't need to run that to get that aerobic base. That's more impact on the disc, but I swam and I biked to get that aerobic build. And I did it on the turbo so that I could sit up, because obviously when you're on a bike and you're in that crouch position, but I did it on the turbo, and I put the tri-bars on those screw-in tri-bars onto the handlebars, so then I could rest my hands on top of that. Then I put a towel on top, and so then I was sitting up straight on the bike and I was using my legs. Or if you've got access to a gym as well, you could do the bike with the back support as well. So as Trish said, working with your coach to do the load and being really super flexible with your plan, because the thing with backs as well, as Russell alluded to, one day they can feel great, and then the other day the next day something will trigger them. You pick up the shopping. Or my kids, sometimes if they just hit me in the bottom of my back, it would set the back off as well. So it's being super flexible with your plan. It can't be like a sort of like a bit of a tendinopathy or something where you're like, well, I need to manage this in the load. The back dictates the plan. You can't dictate the plan to the back as well. So, but I do think you can move
to be super, super effective with my athletes. So essentially they do the same type of training, just on a bike. So they do their intervals, they do their distance. Yeah, no, they hate me. I hate myself.
I try and make the bike sessions as interesting, like mix it up, interesting as possible. And I would just say get stuck deep into those YouTube channels if you can. Search up Trish Patterson thermometer tests on YouTube.
Thanks for the question, Aubrey. Yeah, we hope that's helped anyone out there who's struggling with a herniated disc. It does, oh my goodness, it grinds you down, the herniated disc.
Awful.
It's not fun times. And if you have a question for our coaches and you are a patron, then email hello@tntrails.com. Pop in the subject. When you send the email, pop in the subject, brew with the coaches. We can, from time to time, miss Tales from the Trails and Brew with the Coaches questions. So yeah, pop in the subject, Brew with the Coaches.
This week's main interview is sponsored by X-Miles, the one-stop kid and nutrition shop. Thank you, X-Miles, for sponsoring our main interview. Don't forget, patrons can receive 10% off over at www.xmiles.co.uk. Imagine, settle down, everybody. Let's ease into that run. Let's really get that foam roller into that IT band. Let's push the power a little bit more on the pedals. Let's press the gas on the accelerator. And let's imagine you're the race director and you watch everyone run off and have a blast over what could be one of the best routes out there. What do? You think, I want a slice of that. How am I going to do it? Well, this is how you do it. You do exactly what Shane Ohly did. He made up some party invitations, he iced his own party cake, and he decided to take on the Dragon's Back FKT by himself. Here we go. Here's our chat with Shane Ohly. This week, we are joined by Shane Ohly. Apparently, so I heard on the grapevine, there ain't no party like a Shane Ohly Dragon's Back party. Now, I don't know what your idea of party is. But mine is kind of like a bit of disco, a bit of vibes, some good music, some good snacks, some good people, some good vibes. Maybe that's what he found out on his adventure. I don't know, but let's see. Let's delve into this.
You must be exhausted, Shane. First, your FKT. We will get into that. Then race director for Dragon's Back Race. That must have been quite strange, actually, going back after you've just done your FKT. And then a bit closer to home, but yeah, straight into the Butter Mayor Skyline. How did the weekend's race go? It looked ace. I had a few friends who were doing it, so my Facebook timeline was full of happy runners sharing pics.
Yeah, so Buttermere Skyline is the final race in the Salomon Golden Trails National Series in the UK. At the final, it's just a fantastic running route. It's absolutely has its heritage in fell running. It's essentially a classic fell running route, and I think some of our trail runners got quite a surprise at just how challenging and tough those Lakeland fells are. But it's just a brilliant natural line. It certainly borrows from various races in the Lake District, but the whole route in itself is original. And if you were to essentially stand in Buttermere Village and look at the skyline, that is your race route. And I do like simplicity.
Oh, we love that at Tea and Trails Tower, don't we? We love to be able to stand and go, oh, run that. Oh, yeah, run that.
Yeah.
Done that. It's pretty easy. Pretty easy, mate.
I love that, Eddie, when you said about where you're living currently, you could see the Monroes. That was the challenge, the Monroes from where you live. And that's the whole kind of ethos behind the George Fisher tea round too, isn't it? It's all the summits from the George Fisher shop. What was the weather like though? Well, I know what it was like actually, but a bit spicy on the tops.
Yeah, the weather was very challenging for both the participants and the event teams. So it was in the morning, well, through to the middle of the afternoon, it was drizzling, rainy up high, gusting 40 miles an hour.
Oh, my goodness.
It's tough, really tough conditions. It's tough for the runners, and it's also tough for the event staff who are out on the course for hours and hours and hours. For us as the organisers, it brings some challenges. We had, some challenges with the wind on the site. It was causing some damage, and we were certainly kept on our toes all day as the team.
That's quite stressful. Right, we're going to do the intro. Normally, Eddie and I will go away for hours, do loads of research and come up with this compelling, engaging intro. This week, we thought we'd try AI to see.
No, don't throw in we into this. You are obsessed with Googling people, probably images, you dirty dog.
All right. I didn't expect that.
Well, you said to me last week, I've been Googling you, Eddie.
Okay. Well, yeah, Shane, you can say if this is correct or not. If you like what Copilot produces for you. So I did two. I found two results. The first one is Shane Ohly is a well-known figure in the mountain running community. He is a former professional climber and an elite mountain runner with a deep passion for outdoor adventures. Shane is also the founder of Ourea Events, which organises some of the most challenging mountain running events in the UK. One of his notable achievements includes setting a solo, unsupported Winter Bob Graham round record in December 2020, completing it in 23 hours and 26 minutes. His dedication to the sport and his adventurous spirit have made him a respected name in the field. You take that?
I'll take that. That's pretty good, actually. Yeah,
your adventurous spirit. I love that.
They're very glowing. Second one is, this is just as good actually. And I was super impressed because this is very current. So the next one is, I typed in Shane Ohly Dragon's Back Race and it came back with Shane Ohly is closely associated with the Dragon's Back Race, one of the toughest mountain races in the world. He played a pivotal role in reviving the race in 2012. After its initial run in 1992, the race spans approximately 380 kilometres from Conwy to Cardiff, traversing some of Wales' most challenging terrain. In a remarkable personal achievement, Shane completed the entire Dragon's Back race route in one continuous effort in August 2024, finishing in 102 hours and 33 minutes. The feat highlights his endurance and deep connection to the event he helped bring back to life.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
AI is clever.
That's
it's
a glowing
scary.
AI.
But also, do we need to do the podcast? We could just stop and have a cup of tea.
Well, AI did mention UK events. Do you ever have an eye on an overseas event?
Yes, yeah, we do. And I'm quite So if I'm honest, the COVID very nearly killed us as a business, and we've adopted quite a cautious approach post-COVID. And new events are risky because the reality is most events lose money for a good few years. And a lot of events never make any money. We've had a policy of not creating new events for a few years, and that is just changed. So we've got quite a program of new stuff coming for 2025, which I'm very excited about. Yes, going back to the question, international events is absolutely on my radar, but I don't think we're quite ready to make that leap. I mean, there's different ways of doing an international event. A lot of the international events are actually organised by an in-country expert or organisation. That's not what I want to do, because part of kind of the soul and culture of what we do at Ourea is who we are as a team. So I'd want to take that with us, which means a bit more of a hands-on operation. So I think it'll come, but not yet.
Yeah, super exciting though. Yeah, super exciting for 2024 and beyond. Yeah, we ask all our guests, where are you? What's the view from your window? And I'm curious how recovery's going. Have you been for a run today?
I have not been for a run today, but I am going running this evening. I have just started running again 3 weeks after my Dragon's Back party. I feel great. I am sat at home, so it's nice. If I'm in the office today, it would be noisy. So sat at home, and I've got a lovely view over the rooftops of Kendal.
Oh, sensational. How was your body? We'll probably talk about this a bit more, but yeah, after Dragon's Back race, the FKT, sorry, how did the body hold up?
Really surprising in that my body is fine. It seems to be fine. I think that might change when I put in some quality sessions again.
I was quiet in my judgment there, going, yeah, you've not lifted your knees yet.
No, I have. I've started cycling to work last week. I had one run a few days ago, or was it yesterday? And I'm going to run again today. Basically, I feel fine. And I think the ultimate reason for that was that I went a lot slower than I anticipated. And I think a lot slower than I'm capable, theoretically. And therefore, my body's survived fairly well. I do hold a deep tiredness. My HRV is still way below what it normally is. My resting heart rate is still 20% more than normal.
Wow, even now?
Even now, yeah. But
oh my goodness me.
An incredibly busy couple of weeks at work, so I've not really had the chance to recover properly. So I'm going to spend the next kind of 10 days, end of September, just with some very easy, like tapering type speed running locally. And then hopefully, if all is good, I'll start another training block beginning of October.
You touched on it. You said the Kendal Hills. Yeah, what are your local trails like straight out the door?
Straight out the door is a great trail running. And the local Kendal Hills, kind of rolling countryside, really. You can always see the Lake District. It's not that far away. If you want to get in the mountains, you can do like a 50k loop from the door, which takes you all the way into Kentmere, kind of top of High Street and all of those places. But, that's not really from the door running. Yeah, it's great. It's great local running. Kendal's a wonderful town as a compromise. I always think it's not the best for anything, but it's great for a lot of things. And
yeah.
That's what my husband says about me.
I think that's quite rude.
Shane's blushing.
I wonder when he listens to this, Eddie.
Nope, we're safe. Right. My biggest question, why and where did this idea come from when you thought, do you know what? I watch all these people doing my race, having a great time. So that's where I'm sort of coming from. If I was standing in your beautiful yellow fisherman's outfit going, I watch everybody coming in, finishing my race, that I spend all this time organising, they're having all this good time, and I'm standing in a marquee and I want a piece of that fun. I want to know what that feels like. Is that where the stem of this idea came from? Or was it just because you wanted to see the route, you wanted to improve the lines? Where was the moment when you thought, this is an idea, I want to do this? Yes,
so it's quite a long answer coming up. So first,
good, do it. I've got half a cup of tea. Tell me all.
First of all, essentially, I create races that I'd like to do. I am not interested in shit races. I always ask myself, what would I like to experience, and how would I like to, take part in this race? And I like things that are harder and adventurous. And consequently, the majority of our races are probably unusually hard. Dragon's Back race was the first race that I kind of created. I didn't create it, but I resurrected it. The first race managed and developed myself, particularly in the early days. I was watching contemporaries of mine who I would race with and against take part. And I always watched them race and take part. And I was totally torn between being delighted and relieved I wasn't going through the suffering that they were going through and wanting to be there and mixing it up with them. And, so that seed has been growing for a very, very long time. In 2023, beginning of 2023, I thought about whether it would be feasible to do the event. And I actually gave it some serious thought.
Of joining the actual event?
Yeah, just participating and then letting my staff run the event. And actually some wiser minds than me said, you know what, Shane, you're not going to have the experience you want. If you're on site at your event, people will always come to you with questions. You will never be just a participant taking part. It won't be what you want as an experience. And it was good advice. And in the end, we ended up having a very busy year and it kind of wasn't feasible. And then I guess moving into winter 23-24, this kind of sense of wanting to do the race somehow was there. I already knew the route really intimately. So it wasn't a case of giving myself an excuse to get on the route. And it was January 24, where I first said, okay, I've got this plan, and started talking to some of my running friends about it. So it was quite a long process for it to germinate. And once I opened my mouth, that would be it. Once you've committed to some of your friends. And
once you say it, it's real. And knowing your friends' WhatsApp group, once you say it, you're like, I've got to do it now.
Yeah, kind of. And certainly I kept the plan pretty tight for about 6 months into 2024. I didn't really tell many people. And then you get to the point where I'm going to have to start recruiting a team. And there was half a dozen running friends who knew what I was aiming for and the training plan and blah, blah, blah. Then I started inviting the wider group of friends to support me. And then I felt the commitment. Boy, I felt really committed. And it's kind of good because it propels you down the railway tracks to your destination. So that's good. It's funny, when I've done other little adventures in the past, I've generally not felt particularly nervous. In the build up to this, I felt really, really nervous. And I actually had moments of like heart palpitations.
Oh, I hear you. I've had a few of those at Ourea Events.
Well, I've got a taste of my own medicine in that respect.
What was it like, Shane, with the WhatsApp group and then you being the focus of attention? Did you enjoy that?
I turned off my phone for the entire thing. So I was oblivious to what was going on in terms of WhatsApp chatter and messaging, all of these things, which was great. And I was the focus of the attention, but of a very small group of friends in little doses. And I'm sure we'll talk about the performance element of it. If I'm really honest, the time and performance element, I am a bit disappointed with. I expected to go faster. However, the overwhelming sense I have is positive. It was just an unbelievable experience. And I think I had a level of support and care and love from a group of friends that you rarely appreciate or you get unless maybe you're really ill or something like that. And they so stepped in and looked after me, like on a physical, emotional, medical level, in any measure you want to take. It was a really amazing experience. Yeah, I mean, the sense of accomplishment just for finishing was incredible. And I am very, very satisfied with how it all panned out in the end. Albeit it would have been nice to go faster, but what runner doesn't say that at the end of something?
Yeah.
I'm resonating so much over this, Shane, from my longer stuff that I've started this journey into, of that feeling of love you get from people when you literally hand them your body and your mind and your soul, and you're like, can you just keep me moving forward? And they're like, fine, keep going forward. So how do you go about the logistic wise of this challenge? Probably almost easier than like the physical side. How did you go about writing your training plan for sort of, say you started in the January thinking, I'm going to do this?
I have often described myself as uncoachable. When somebody asks me to do something, my natural instinct is not to do it. Like from my absolute soul, I don't want to do it.
You and I are like one person, Shane.
A couple of years ago, I got a training program from Paul Turney, to help me prepare for when I was doing my classic rock challenge. That's 2 years ago. Or it was actually maybe 3 years ago. I had the training program. It didn't work out. Paul would set me training, I'd ignore it. Paul would set me training, I'd ignore it. That was the kind of cycle. But I kind of knew if I was going to do something like Dragon's Back, I was so into, or so out of my comfort zone rather, I was just going to need some help. And so I went back to Paul, asked for forgiveness, and
I was going to say.
Oh, Shane, I'm not sure I'm ready for this.
Paul was brilliant. So I basically made a commitment to myself that I would just follow Paul's training. I wouldn't question it. I would just do it. And that is what I did. I did play the normal Training Peaks game of, can I max out my training, doing the extra 20% and keep it in the green, like to the second. But other than that, I followed the training program. And
so what's this? I've never used Training Peaks. Sorry. So with this green, what you talk about, I've got no.
If you coach sets your session, it might be like 1 hour, let's say, of I don't know, tempo effort. If you are more than 20%, rather than going green when you complete the session, it goes orange. And if you're really bad, it goes red. So if you're shorter or longer. So obviously, if you want to do as much running as possible, you always want to add 20% to every training session. So that's the game. You've got to do as much as you can, but still.
That's exactly what I do, Shane.
You have just taught all my athletes a new. But some of them will be playing the under 20% game as well. Be like, oh, I can just do.
Yeah, it works two ways, you see.
But I like that with Training Peaks because I do believe that there should be 20%. Like if you feel good, or like prescribing it the easy hour is like a classic. But some people's loops are like an hour and 10 minutes, and so you always want to have And as runners, we always want to do a little bit more, a little bit less. So what did it look like? Can we delve a little bit into like, what did a classic week look like when you were like in the depths?
Yeah, so I guess before I got on the training program, I was doing quite a lot of volume, and I generally tick over at about 100K a week. What I was finding was for many, many years, I've been doing that kind of volume, but with no focus, no plan, no hard sessions. I kind of gave up on racing for various reasons, and just my motivation wasn't there. First thing Paul did, reduce the volume, add in quality. And there was nothing on the flat. All the quality was uphill, because Dragon's Back is so hilly. I'm pretty confident every single hard session was done going uphill. And so we initially reduced the volume, added in the quality, added in regular strength and conditioning, which I wasn't doing at all. I would say that's probably the most important change that happened in the whole training program. Volume slowly came back up. And my volume wasn't huge anymore. I had a few really big weeks because I would maybe do a weekend of recceing. You get some big numbers, but actually the main thrust of that program was to have consistency over 6 months. So week after week, month after month, you're logging those kilometers. So it was good, it worked. It shouldn't be a surprise. You follow a coaching program, it works.
And what was Shane's strength and conditioning like? Did you like fashion your own weights out of rocks?
Railway sleepers.
No, I joined
climbing ropes.
There's a gym like 200 meters from my house, and whilst I kind of begrudged every session I spent in there when the sun was shining, you just can't replicate the squats and all the rest of it with weights running on fells. And so I just had to accept a bit less time running and a bit more time in the gym. And slowly but surely, actually, I did get into it. And once you understand the exercise you're trying to do, then you've got, for me, there's 2 challenges. Obviously, you can add weight or add repetitions, but also trying to get the form right. Yeah, I would send some of my friends, send Robin Cassidy a video of me doing an exercise, and she would critique it and go, well, you're basically cheating because you're doing this. And it's amazing how a subtle change in your position makes an exercise you think is quite easy really hard. So it was interesting. I learned an awful lot, and I'm definitely going to carry on with the strength and conditioning.
I think the moment as well when you're running uphill or downhill, but for me it's always maybe downhill. I feel I can release the speed a bit more when I've done regular strength training. But when you feel it uphill and you think your brain, think a lot of it is the neuromuscular work as well, and you suddenly go engage the glutes, and you suddenly feel like you've got jet propels that you can go to if you need to, going uphill and downhill, but it does take time. And it's not, and I think it's mentally accepting the fact that you don't want to be there, and but then go, but that's okay. I know I don't want to be here. That's fine. I don't have to. Yeah. And I bet when everything started to really hurt, you were like, if I hadn't done that strength work, noodle guy would be on the floor now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it made a big difference. And I think if I was to probably highlight one bit of my training, it was adding in the strength and conditioning.
So yeah, Dragon's Back race party, Shane, what were your aspirations? I'm curious, did you want to do it just in style, have a great time, or did you want to put your flag in the ground and like, if anybody else is going to do this, they're going to have to work their socks off? Because I've basically got no experience at these super long things, I thought the chances of me getting it so badly wrong that I would fail to complete were quite high. For me, this Dragon's Back FKT was my first 100 mile, my first 200 mile, my first second night, third night, fourth night on the go. There were so many.
It was a party.
So I wanted to go cautiously, and I thought I had a cautious schedule at about 70 hours. That said, the priorities were first good style. I didn't want to compromise my style. And I've seen people doing, long endurance FKT type stuff, and they're in such a grump because they're so tired that they're...
Okay, by style, you mean, when you're sitting down. Yeah, I know.
Respecting your friends and all of those things. So that was number one. Number two was completion. Number three was time. And in actual fact, it was the time that went awry. And I'm going to talk about why that happened. That's really interesting. But absolutely felt like I nailed 1 and 2 in the priorities. So I'm happy. I'm totally happy. It would have been nice to put a marker in the ground that would have challenged Killian, but not this time.
You're standing in Comey Castle. How are you feeling? Any niggles, and what kind of emotions? Because we talked about it briefly about being the center of attention. Yeah, what are you feeling as you're standing there in Comey Castle?
I just wanted to get on with it. When the morning we were actually starting, I just wanted to get on with it. And every minute we were waiting to count down to 10 o'clock, it just felt a bit painful. I didn't feel like I was the center of attention because I had good friends with me, and it felt pretty low key. And we have filmed it, so there's a film crew that filmed the whole thing as well. But even that film crew, I've known some of that team going back almost 30 years. So yeah. I felt relaxed around them, and that's why they were chosen for that job. I kind of, by that point, I felt relaxed. A week before, I was a nervous wreck.
That's funny. What about niggles though? Yeah, I saw pictures of you as the week progressed, the tape increased on your legs. Yeah, but on the start line, how were you feeling? How was your body?
It was good. I mean, I was definitely in the best shape I've been for many, many, many years. I know I had 2 niggles that had been problematic during training. And my biggest concern, I think, was that I would fail to complete because one of these known niggles became problematic. And then I'd have to reflect back on the training and go, I got the balance wrong between training and niggle management. And nobody likes doing rehab and prehab and all of this stuff. It's just boring. So I was really worried I'd got the mix of training wrong, and that would mean one of the niggles would become problematic. But that didn't happen. The most painful thing I had was a brand new problem, never experienced before. So
always happens, yeah.
So how did day one go? Yeah, if memory is right, you will have first-hand experience of this, but the forecast, the weather wasn't great on day one, if I remember.
No, it was very poor. And I think with the benefit of hindsight, a really bold decision would have been just to postpone for 24 hours. And all of the problems that would have brought with your support, but you would have had such a easier time of it. So essentially the first 12 hours through daylight, the weather was rough. It was a bit like I've just described for the Salomon Buttermere skyline. It was kind of heavy rain, strong winds. It's the kind of weather as a runner, you can only stay warm by running. Really, you need to be in kind of mountaineering clothing to be in the mountains. And first and second legs were on schedule, but only because we were working really hard just to stay warm. Then leg 3, we ummed and ahed about whether Cribcock was viable. We decided the weather was slowly improving. We could see the weather front was about to blow through, so we went for it. I had a good check-in with my 3 support runners for that leg.
Who was supporting you on that leg, Shane?
Damien Hall, Matt Heason, and Simon Roberts. So Matt and Simon are old climbing friends of mine, and well, Damien doesn't need an introduction on this podcast.
Is there democracy though when you're up on the higher route? Could Damien or one of the guys go, look, we're not doing this, Shane's crazy?
We had that discussion before we went up on that leg, and I said to everybody, you know, we all have a veto here. We're not comfortable. We go on the big track. We go on the lower route. But we got up there. It was still pretty wild. I got some fantastic video of, you know, rain lashing us on Kirkgok, but we got over it. It was slow because, you know, it was horrible weather. And then literally as we summited Snowdon, the cloud just suddenly broke, and it went from very poor weather to the cloud breaking, the sun coming out in like 5 minutes. It was really spectacular moment. Then we had a couple of really lovely hours, swapped over for Zoe Murphy, Robin Cassidy doing the next leg, started day 2, Dragon's Back, the night section, and the cloud came down, and we just spent the entire night in the Clag with about 10 meters visibility. And it's just so hard to move well when it's poor visibility. And so we were slow. Much of the night we were walking because you just couldn't see anything. We actually, this is quite funny, my kind of rules of the game, if you like, was I had to visit all the checkpoints as per Dragon's Back. We actually went past one of them without even seeing it, and this is a giant trig point on the top of a hill.
Wow.
And we knew we'd gone past it and none of us had seen it, and we were like, we're going to have to go back and tag the trig. And then we got the GPX up, and we were like, the GPX trail went literally over the trig, and we're like, we must have been within meters of it, and we just didn't see it, and it all missed. And we decided that was good enough. I'm running the length of Wales. So
how was fueling in this first 24 hours? You're talking about the poor weather, a lot of kit on, perhaps moving faster than you wanted to in the first section, and then slower than you wanted to. How did you manage fueling?
So the fueling is probably the biggest learning point for me. So I guess my experience before this was all in around that kind of 24-hour challenge space, and I felt very comfortable with fueling over that 24-hour period. And I essentially adopted a strategy that I would fuel for as long as I could, like eating every 20 to 30 minutes on essentially sports nutrition. And I'd have some real food at support points when I crossed roads. I was expecting that my appetite for sports nutrition would reduce and I would slowly eat more real food as time went on. What actually happened is I ate really, really well for about hours. Like, just had the alarm going on my watch. Every 20 minutes it goes off and I eat something. But slowly but surely my mouth became very sore with kind of ulcers and blisters from too much sugar, lots of mouth breathing. And as I went into about the 40-hour mark, my mouth was really, really painful and I was struggling to eat or drink.
Was there anything at all you could eat though, Shane?
I was forcing food in, but it was painful. It was like bring tears to your eyes, painful at times. And it gets worse because I then got a thrush infection in my mouth from just battering myself. So at about 50 hours in, I had this blistered and thrush riddled. Like that. And
so how do you treat that? How do you problem solve that situation? That's why.
So Nat, my friend Nat, who's one of our regular event doctors, she was there for the whole time supporting me. In the middle of the night, she managed to go to a garage and buy some like vaginal Caniston cream. And she's like, just stick this in your mouth, Shane. It's
This is a low moment where you're like, this is a low moment. Yes, this is what it's all about. This isn't the party I imagined.
No, that wasn't on the spreadsheet.
That wasn't on my goodness. Within about another, 6 to 8 hours, Nat had managed to get some like medicated mouthwash, which was much better than the Caniston cream. But it took another 24 hours plus to get on top of the thrush.
You're not gonna.
Yeah, and just for basically the last 60 plus hours, my mouth was very, very sore and I struggled to eat. When I got home and I unpacked all the food I hadn't eaten, in round numbers, I ate 1/4 of all the food.
Oh.
So there's the result. That's why the performance wasn't there. There was no in the tank. And then, of course, the food strategy is all wrong because I think rather than you doing 7 hours, you're doing 100 hours. So then the sleep you plan to have is not enough. And it seems obvious with hindsight, but at the time we just got
yes.
So what was your original sleep strategy? Did you, I know your schedule was faster than the actual Dragon's Back race, but did you maybe with the traditional Dragon's Back race checkpoints, were they points maybe where you would spend an extra hour and get some sleep, or was it just trail nights?
So essentially I'd split it into do 100 miles, which takes me to the end of day 3 of Dragon's Back, and have a sleep, a 90-minute sleep. Do 100k, which takes me roughly to the end of middle of day 4, have a sleep, and then go through another 100k that takes me to the finish in Cardiff. That was the plan, about 4 hours sleeping. And I kind of more or less stuck to that, except I underestimated how much time would disappear when I sat down in those support point locations and just changed shoes, put some more tape on, eat a tin of beans or something. And actually my moving time was 91 hours. My stationary time was 11 hours. And I spent about 4 hours sleeping. It's probably a bit more sleep, but it wasn't recorded. And look at the first night, I just went straight through, no problem. The second night was all about learning what worked well for me, sleep-wise. And I was very lucky to be running with Hannah Rickman that night. And she was brilliant. And so many of my friends had said 20-minute sleeps, that's the business. Put your head down 20 minutes, you'll get back up, good to go. I did my first 20-minute sleep, got back up, and I was an absolute zombie and I couldn't get going again.
Oh, goodness me.
Hannah actually was the one to say, you need to sleep less, not more. And essentially,
well, she knows. Well,
she knows, yeah. So that night we reduced the sleep until we realized 5 minutes worked well, and then get straight back up. And I hadn't cooled down. I could get straight up and start, well, I called it running. This is another funny thing I'll talk about. I would get going straight away. I'd be okay for about 45 minutes before that sleep drive started to overtake me again. But it was all, that whole second night was all about learning this stuff on the go. And I was in such a mess at points. Hilarious.
We talked about sleep. Did you ever, well, I know the answer to this question actually because I've seen the Facebook or Instagram story. Yes, hallucinations. When did they play a part in your party?
They didn't really kick in until the final night. So that is the 4th night. And they were really mild in the scheme of things. I just bizarrely kept seeing like garden furniture and planters, and I kept seeing chairs. I kept seeing chairs in the hedgerow, and I kept asking them to sit down. They weren't there.
He sounded so sleepy, Shane. It was such a funny story. I loved it. Okay, so where are we at now? Day 3, you went through the night, and day 2. Day 3, how's the body? Yeah, start line you mentioned earlier, no KT tape. Day 3, your legs are starting to get covered.
You were. I think I called you on social media, Mr. KT. Can we see a bit of Shane without K tape on?
So the first, I felt really good until going over Cad Idris, which is day 3 of the Dragon's Back race route. And for me, that's about 35 hours in, something like that. And all quite suddenly over a period of about 90 minutes, 2 hours, I started developing this kind of medial knee pain in my left knee. And it was really painful quite quickly. And by the time I was on that CAD leg, I was thinking, this is it. This is game over. I'm not going to be able to push through this. And I walked the entire CAD leg. I couldn't run on it, I couldn't run in any meaningful way. And I got to our changeover in Abergynolwyn, which is the Dragon's Back support point. The support point team are there. Nat, Abby, also one of our regular event doctors. We got Morag on. Morag's one of our regular physiotherapists, and she's a very good physiotherapist. We got her on video call and like showing her my leg, my knee, and Nat assessing it, and Morag's like, we can fix this. And the taping is what you saw, and it fixed it. Fixed it is the wrong word. It made it a lot better. I could carry on without too much bother. One of the things that I've taken like personally from the whole journey is this satisfaction of feeling you've reached a low point and that you cannot carry on. Okay, admittedly with the help of my friends, you reset and you readjust and you pick yourself up and you go again, and just finding another level and then another level and then another level, and it just keeps going. You just keep going, and it was just so personally satisfying. I know, of course, it's hard. It's a sufferfest, but
yeah,
it's incredibly satisfying.
Did you ever really seriously think about calling it a day?
Yeah, I did. No, seriously, with that knee problem was the first time I thought I wasn't going to carry on. Then I had another problem. The leg I did from Elan Village through to the water point at Aberglleswyn, I think it is. I'm terrible with the Welsh pronunciation. Sorry, everybody in Wales.
That's why Gary's not mentioning it, because he said I'm not saying any Welsh words. We'll get those slippery keyboard warriors going, oh, by the way, Gary.
So that, I guess during that leg, I started developing this Achilles pain in my right Achilles, right calf Achilles pain. And that got really, really sore. And I started to get into this mindset of maybe this is it. Am I doing damage here? But I got to the end of the leg, more taping advice from Morag over the video phone, and then I went out with 3 new friends. So this was Emma Stewart, Kirsten Rosenquist from Sweden, who came over to help me, and an old climbing friend of mine, Pat Love. And the 3 of them were like, right, we're just going to have fun and we're going to make you laugh. And we are, and I think it was Emma says, right, I'm going to run along next to you, and however slow you go, I'm going to run and make it look really hard so you feel like you're going really quickly. And she was totally taking the piss out of me, but doing it in such a lovely way. And we started off and we laughed. And we had a really good time. And amazingly, with a bit of taping, a few magic pills, and a fresh set of people, supporters, suddenly I felt good to go again. It just shows the psychology of how you interact with yourself, with your support runners, has a massive impact on how you feel and what you think you can do.
Do you have a favourite part of the route, Shane? And was that the favourite part of the route actually on your party?
Honestly, I probably don't have a favourite part of the route. I like it all. Each of the sections, there's the kind of the rockiness of Snowdonia and the tussocks of Elan Valley and the kind of ruggedness of the Rhinogs. I quite like the contrast of day 6 when you see all the industry in the valleys, but you can stay up on the higher bits of the hills. The whole route has interest. And I think what's great about the Dragon's Back is to do well at Dragon's Back, you need to be able to run on rock. You need to be able to run on mud, on trails, on tarmac. It's quite an all-rounders race, actually. I mean, there were so many highlights during my own kind of journey. And they're not linked to the route itself. They're linked to moments of hilarity with my support crew, for sure.
Love the memories. Do you think it's easier as a oneer or as the multi-day event?
Multi-day is easier.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely categorically clear about that.
Do you think that's more to do with the sleep deprivation than the physical? Yeah. But do you think now, having experienced firsthand that sleep deprivation, I honestly think the first time I experienced it, it was actually quite a frightening experience to feel that sleep deprived and to feel those sensations. But once you've done it once, do you think when you feel that again, it's a slightly less intimidating?
I didn't find it intimidating. I just found it frustrating a lot of the time. And one of the things that I just underestimated was just how slow it would become when I was, desperate to sleep and tired. And clearly remember doing my last taper run, and I was running the flattest trail I can run locally. I was doing 7-minute Ks, and I was joking to myself about how slow 7-minute Ks are and how I would never run this slowly. And I did 30-minute Ks on my Dragon's Back at the time.
You'd be begging for a 7-minute K, Shane.
Yeah, I know. And, there's so much learning in that. I just massively underestimated the impact that sleep deprivation and underfueling would have. So, yeah. I didn't find it intimidating. I found it hilarious often, and quite enjoyed the challenge of it.
Yeah, I think people don't appreciate that if they've been going for a super long time. Even 100-miler, those last few miles where you're doing 25-minute mile, maybe if you're climbing up a hill, it could be a 30-minute mile. If you're just not used to that, it can really take the wind out your sails. Emotions, personally, I've been fortunate enough to run into Cardiff on the Dragon's Back race. And I found it quite hard, actually, to keep my shit together, to be honest, as we got closer to the castle. What about yourself?
I felt fine towards the end, actually, emotionally. I'm quite emotionally solid normally.
Okay.
And certain people might laugh at that comment, but
I was laughing.
externally, I seem to be emotionally solid. Let's say, for the outside observer. And I felt pretty solid as I came into Cardiff, but there were absolute moments on the trail when I did feel quite emotional. There were kind of the times when I thought I wasn't going to be able to continue, when I finished some of the hard legs and I was tired, and I definitely felt a bit emotional. Zoe Murphy brought me a Leon Love burger unexpectedly.
Sensational. Was this like, what part? Because there's points where it's easy access and there's points where it's not easy access. Where did this burger turn up?
I was, because I was struggling to eat, people kept saying, what would you like to eat? What would you like to eat? And I said, as a throwaway comment, I really like Leon Love burgers. These are vegan burgers that Leon does. I did not think for 1 second that I would actually get one. Zoe had helped me early on in the kind of first few days, and then she was coming back for all of the last day. And when she drove down from her home near Chester, she went diverted, like a big diversion, to go to Chester Services, got me a Love burger, and drove all the way down to what was Camp 5 Dragon's Back. But my mouth was so sore, I literally had tears rolling down my cheeks trying to eat it with all the relish, like burning my mouth.
And but she stood over you going, I bought you that, you will eat it, you will eat it.
Yeah, it was, there were moments like that are just amazing.
Did you expect it to be that emotional? Did you expect to have to dig that deep and to feel those emotions? Were you quite surprised by that?
I did expect that. And I think that was why I was nervous beforehand. So if I contrast that with the other really big thing I did personally in the last few years was this link up of the classic rock climbs in the Lake District, so running and climbing and free climbing, solo climbing between them. And that was a 3-year build up to that of preparation. But when I started it, I wasn't nervous because I was absolutely confident I was ready to execute the plan, and I had prepared meticulously for it. You can't prepare for something like this. You can't practice sleep deprivation. So I knew there was a lot of uncertainties coming my way. I knew physically and emotionally it was going to be hard, and therefore I felt nervous. And I felt nervous because I'd invited 32 of my running buddies to take time off their lives and work to support me. I guess there's a degree of public expectation when you share it on social media and you've got a film crew there. It all adds to the pressure. And particularly in the last week counting down to it, I really, really felt it. I was really nervous, and I haven't felt like that for, I don't think ever before, actually.
Why do you think you feel like that? Because our running community is, 99.9% of lovely people that only want the best for you. And so, but then we put this pressure on ourselves that we have to perform or achieve in some way, where really everybody just wants you to be safe, enjoy the trip. And if it doesn't work, it's such a personal pressure, isn't it?
It is. It's an intrinsic thing. When you want to do your best, and whatever that might be, you put pressure on yourself. And I think that's a healthy thing to do. I think, well, to an extent, it's healthy until it detracts from the performance, undermines the performance. But the way I've tried to reframe nervousness is this is your body preparing for action. Yeah. And that surge of butterflies in the last 30 seconds before you start a fell race, I always say to myself, brilliant, I am ready for combat here. That is my body getting ready. So just reframing it. But when it goes on for a week, I'm just...
it's horrible. I just hate it. I honestly, and I often think, if someone said to me, you don't have to do it, I'd be like, oh God, thank God. I just want this date to be over or to have started. And then the minute you start, you love it. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else. You wouldn't want to be in...
But it's a privilege. You said to me, Shane, actually, you did say pressure was a privilege. And since you said that, resonated with me. Curious, I don't want to bring the mood down. Sometimes post-event, we get blues. Do you experience that? Or were you straight into basically event director?
No, I was straight into delivering the Dragon's Back race. So I literally drove back from, my colleague Eleanor drove me back from Wales, and we drove straight into work.
Lucky Eleanor.
Dragon's Back planning meeting. I literally lay on the sofa.
I can't think you were very good in that planning meeting. Were you even awake in that planning meeting?
I was awake, but I wasn't quite at my best. We were straight into work, and it was full on for 10 days, and then we were on site in Wales to deliver the actual event. So I'm not.
That is kudos. That is kudos.
When do you get a break, Shane? Is there a season? Because it just looking from the outside in, it's been your event. Then we mentioned Dragon's Back Race, then the Borrowdale. Is there a point of the year where you go, Buttermay, sorry, yeah. Is there a point where it's like, yeah, we can relax now?
So we have got. We are providing. We're supporting 13 Valleys and some of their event operations in.
See you there.
See you there. So that's another significant event. We've got about 25 staff working on that event. And then we are Kendal Mountain Festival. So we've got the trail runs, 1,000 people. We're launching an ultra. It's very, very last minute, but we're launching an ultra at the Mountain Festival. So that's a new race to get finalised. We're also creating a festival campsite for the festival. So we've got a busy...
Full of garden furniture, your vision.
And we have this huge range of new races we've got to launch for next year. So there's a lot going on. I'm not expecting any time off for about 10 years, I think.
Has anyone reached out? I'm curious, now that you've done it, it's quite common. Once somebody does something, pioneer it, then others follow. Has anybody reached out, hitting you up for some tips? Maybe a future FKT attempt?
I know other people have already tried and weren't successful, so I know it's kind of in people's imaginations already. I'm very happy to chat to people. I mean, I've been very open about my experiences and what's gone right and wrong. I think just having some benchmark to plan against is really helpful. Did my first schedule, I literally just had no idea where to start, particularly without having the experience of doing a long thing before either. So yeah, I suspect there'll always be a small minority of people who will like to try something like that, but I don't think it's going to be popular.
Has it whet your appetite though for something else crazy long?
I think in all honesty, I would like to go back at some point and try and go faster. I think if I did that, the experience will never match up. So I have to accept I'm going back. Truly torturous sufferfest, and I'm not ready to make that decision. The next thing for me is Arc of Attrition in January. I've actually never done a dedicated 100-mile race, so I just thought, why not? I'd really like to do it, and I'm from Cornwall. I know the route pretty well, so I'm looking forward to that. And I haven't thought beyond January and Arc of Attrition, and I'll do that and then see where we go from there.
I often get my athletes to do post-event, the sort of 10 days post-event. You need to do this 3 months because you don't have time to sit around and do this. Is a couple of things. Make a note to your future self of when you next sign up or start a start line or write out your invitations to your next party. What are you going to do differently next time? What is your crib sheet of mustn't forget to?
So, I mean, it's the nutrition. If you want performance, you need fuel in the tank. I had quite a long debrief with Reedy McGregor, who's a friend of mine who lives in Kendal, sports dietitian, real expert in this area. And she's offered to give me a bit of help to maybe improve what I've done. So I think, you've got to get the nutrition right.
It's so hard though, Shane, the nutrition. I had a horrendous Lake 100. I had a fantastic Dragon's Back race, and training, nutrition goes to plan every week, but come event.
Yeah, it was hard to replicate that time and effort of a long event. So I think that's the biggest problem. And I think the experience of doing Dragon's Back non-stop is invaluable for doing something similar in the future. I think I probably will. I think I've probably got a bit of a taste for it, but we'll see. I'm not going to rush into that decision.
Should we do the quick five, Shane? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7.
Oh my God. 7. Okay, first up, Eddie's edited my quick five list. So first one is from Eddie. Yeah. What does a Shane Ohly party look like? Music, what's on the buffet menu, guest list. Yeah. If you could invite anybody along, who would it be?
Oh my goodness me. I've got a wonderful mix of climbing and running friends who actually don't often mix. So my old climbing friends from back in the day, to mix them up with my running friends. Essentially, they're the same tribe.
What's the different vibe? Yeah, what's the different vibe going on there? Like climbing?
Definitely my climbing friends are a little bit more into the slightly more reckless behavior.
I love this. I love this idea of a party.
The hard partying kind of climbing scene from Sheffield. So they are, but ultimately what I think what's more interesting is the sense of tribe that groups of people have, and it's actually the same. You can see it, and it doesn't matter when you swap from one sport to another. You essentially see the same way that groups interact and have that still bond. It's just you just swap the word climbing for running, and runners are a bit more clean living, a bit more sensible, probably I would say.
Imagine if climbers and triathletes met. That's probably a clash of cultures.
Oh no, I'm not sure that there'd be any. But the triathletes wouldn't come to the party. They've got to get up at 5 to go swimming. They'd say they were coming, and then they'd be like, "Not finished my turbo." What's the music? What's on your Spotify playlist at the party?
Yeah. So this will make you laugh. So my kind of go-to music for like just jogging along is what I call easy listening dance music. I quite like dance music.
So easy listening dance music. Do those two genres go together?
Okay, let me put this into context. The Sheffield raving days, the music of choice is techno, and that is kind of where my heart is. Kind of like if you imagine like pop dance music, that's what I call easy listening dance music.
So more like what are we thinking?
We're a similar age, Shane, though. Would you have got the text message or I don't know, they didn't have text messages then, but would we find you in a warehouse in Sheffield somewhere 2 a.m?
Yes.
These little pop-up raves. Fantastic. Yeah. I love it.
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure I'd get an invitation to this party, but I think I'm being.
This is why it would be fun to mix the two. The runners will have the endurance to dance all night, that's for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, we've got some very dragon-themed questions coming up, Shane. Brace yourself for these. What year did the cinematic masterpiece Enter the Dragon hit the silver screen?
Oh, Enter the Dragon. I don't know. I'm going to say 78.
Oh, close.
No,
73.
not close.
Oh, 73. Okay.
5-year tolerance. I know that's too bad.
Great film.
I'm born in 1973, but I obviously didn't watch it in 1973. But I still remember it as a teenager being a fantastic film. So it'd been like 13 years old and standing up. Fastest marathon by someone dressed as a dragon. And I will give you a clue. It's sub 4.
Wow, it's probably going to be quick. 3 hours 25.
3:48 and 38 seconds. But that is smoking fast.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, but yeah, do you know the name of the dragon in The Hobbit?
Smeagol, is it? Something like that?
Oh, that's close enough. Smaug. Well, it depends how you pronounce it.
Okay, right.
Now, since your FKT fame, Dragon's Back party, we're just going to check if you still are a man of the people. Do you know how much everyday items cost? I've been on the internet, and the Royal Dragon Chinese takeaway in Cardiff, how much do you think their mixed vegetable in black bean sauce costs? I don't know if it comes with rice or chips.
£5.95.
Wow, it's not too bad. £7.20.
Oh gosh.
£7.20.
This is city centre prices. I live in the country.
£7.20 for a mixed vegetable black, like just in like one of those little Tupperwares.
It must come with chips, surely. That's
it must have. That is extortionate. I'm ringing up the Royal Dragon.
It's about £5 where I live, so yeah, that tells you. Instagram story music time, Shane. Yeah, every week we share the podcast over on Instagram, Facebook, but you get to choose the music we put to our Instagram story.
I was asked for some. Trish Patterson, one of your coaches, did a lot of support for my Dragon's Back, even though she was in Australia. Part of that support was singing me songs on her ukulele and then sending videos of this.
Is that support?
It was brilliant. She did a wonderful remix of Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. Oh my goodness, it's very special. So that's definitely my playlist song.
Okay, would you like the Trish Patterson version, or
let's see if I can get you the Trish Patterson version?
I love the Trish Patterson version. We'll play it out. Trish Patterson can play out the podcast.
I'll see what I can do.
A ukulele. Oh, Shane, thank you so much for giving up the time on the busiest man we know in trail running, giving up the time, sharing a little bit of your journey. I'm sure a lot of it will resonate. And it has been the theme over the last few podcasts, is the theme of friendship and love that we have found on the trails. And sometimes forgetting about why we are there and actually spending the time with our loved ones, seeing how much love there is for you as well, like feeling that love is something that as you said, you can't replicate in real life, but it was the love of your friends, I'm sure, that drove you on to the castle. Huge kudos, not only for doing the Dragon FKT, but also for having the courage pants to step up, train for it, and do it. You're incredible. We send you big love, and we look forward to seeing you toe the line at the Arc and seeing, with just one night sleep deprivation. You're going to fly. You're going to fly, man. You'll be ready. You'll be ready with your... I mean, did you take Fisherman's Friends mints? Did you learn anything?
No, I didn't.
Nope. No, you didn't take that, but you'll be lining up on the start line with your Fisherman Friends mints and your Caniston cream. You'll be good to go. You'll be flying. Huge congrats, Shane. Huge congrats, Shane. We hope you get the time to reflect on it, maybe in 2090.
Thanks, Shane. Take care.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
I'd be really interested to see if Shane has another go, see if he can shave some time off that FKT. It's not a fastest known time, it's the first known time. Yeah, I'd be really interested.
Intel, Gaza. I love it.
And it is dangerous when event organisers and podcast co-hosts get together. Just saying, a little teaser, keep the end of June free. Put some pencil on the planner.
What would you pencil in? Keep free.
Well, maybe we had a chat
Party
about
time.
about a tea and trails and an Ourea Events collaboration.
So exciting. Can't wait to hear all about it.
Popping over to our Strava club, and first up is Paul Smith. Big miles on the Pennine Way. Duffed into Middleton Teesdale to Hawes to Malham, and Malham to Hebden Bridge. That is a sensational week, but that looks like, I need a bit more intel, Paul. That's a Northern Challenger or actually full spine race section in reverse. Let us know, Paul. Let us know what your plans are for next year. 121 miles for the week, though, with the longest run of 35.5. So each of those days are 30 plus miles. That's sensational, with just under 18,000 feet of elevation. Joe Thompson, man up and down race, joined fourth. I wonder if it was they're literally reaching out with their chests to cross the line together, or they've made a little pact together and they crossed the line together. Either way, official time 1:43 with an elevation gain of just under 2,000 feet. So that's pretty spicy. I think it's a 20k, so good race. And what is the man up and down race? It's a 20k coastal path trail run supporting Man Down Cornwall. And Man Down Cornwall offer a safe space to meet the current emotional and mental health needs of men who are struggling to cope with the everyday pressure facing them in modern society. I think it's horrific, the statistics for men attached to suicide. I don't know the dates, but my goodness me, it is not good data over there. But yeah, 59.1 miles for the week with the longest run of 12.4 miles and 5,374 feet. Last up, Tracy Davey, private Strava Tracy. So I don't really know what you've been up to, but I think it's the only one I can think of. Maybe you'll give me something else here, Eddie, but possibly the Hardmoor 60. That definitely happened this weekend.
Yeah,
and Tracy did. Yeah, she did 68.9 miles for the week with the longest run of 64.6. I know Hardmoors always give you a few extra miles for your money. But yeah, awesome. It did look misty on the trails. I think it was quite humid too.
That is one of my least favourite conditions, Gary.
Well, you're going to get cold, aren't you? If you're slowing down for some whatever reason, then yeah, you're going to get pretty chilly. But yeah, total elevation for the week, 8,681 feet. Heavy flex goes to Emma Stewart, the running vet over on Instagram. She has been a former guest twice on our podcast, Eddie. Pretty sure it's twice. Yep. She ran the entire length of the River Eden from the source near the summit of Hugh Seat to the sea at Bowness on Solway, 144.3k in 16 hours and 34 minutes. Recently graduated too. Congrats. And kudos, Emma. Kudos to all our Strava Club members. And if you'd like to be in with a random shout out, then pop over to Strava, search for Tea and Trails, and join our Strava Club. Tales from the Trails.
Hello, Eddie and Gary. Firstly, thank you for the countless hours of entertainment you guys provide. Your podcast is wonderful. Oh, Lovely way to start. My wife, Jill, is an avid trail runner and regularly puts your podcast on. We've listened to them all while we work and are ploughing our way through the previous version too. Ploughing? I'm not sure that's the verb I'd use. Delighting. I have to say, the conversation between the two of you is just pure gold. What you two have been up to feels very real to us, and some of the comments... Two men fisting each other and 2 inches deeper. Gary were hilarious and had me in stitches, mainly due to the fact that Eddie was crying with laughter too. Pure smut, can't beat it. I sigh because I'm disappointed in my own sense of humour, but I can't help myself. My favourite, and one that still makes me laugh, was why don't you just stop running from Bryn, to which Eddie replied, why don't you just shut up? If you ever don't have a guest lined up again, please just do an episode of the two of you. It's just brilliant. Your podcast has certainly inspired Jill to great feats. She has had to withdraw from the Race to the Stones 100k 2 years in a row now, once due to a plantar plate tear. Oh my God. And the other due to COVID just days before. Having recovered, she's now done her first backyard ultra and has her sights set on the Endurance Life event in North Yorkshire. Oh, it's great. The Arc of Attrition Marathon and UTS next spring. Oh, I love this race lineup. You should never underestimate the influence you have. Oh my gosh, don't say that. That frightens me. It's Jill. Oh, we're late, but this is podcast gold because we're always late. It's Jill's birthday on Tuesday the 17th, and the kids are getting her Patreon membership as a present. And I will give her a choice of the Tea and Trails merchandise. Oh, my goodness. One disappointment, though. We were on holiday in Verchet over the summer, and I cycled over the Jouplin into Morsey early one morning. I fully expected to see Eddie sat having a coffee. Well, that's where you're wrong, because I would never be sitting having a coffee or just walking down the street in Morsey. Again, that's where you're wrong. I would never be walking down the street in Morsey. You need to find me up high on the trails. Imagine my disappointment when she wasn't anywhere to be seen. Honestly, keep up the wonderful work, the advice, the shared experiences, the laughter. Just brilliant. Thank you, Martin. And a big happy birthday to Jill.
Yeah, happy belated birthday, Jill.
We love sharing your tales from the trails. Please keep them coming in. Just email hello. I was a lower version today. It's Monday. I think I should honor Lionel with a lower vibe. Hello. At Tea and Trails. We should harmonise that. Try and get the kids to harmonise with me to songs in the car. They're having none of it either. Please put tales from the trails in the subject in the email, and then we can keep a lovely tally of them and keep them coming in.
We've not got any hot 5-star reviews, Edwina.
That is absolutely disgraceful.
Raging.
You guys should be ashamed of yourself. You've got one job. You like, you share, you subscribe, and you put your laundry in the laundry bin.
What would be your one job of the day? What would you do? You had to do one job today. What would it be?
Boil the kettle. Oh, like a chore. If I had to do like just one chore.
Anything. You go to bed. I think Eliud Kipchoge, when he makes a list, it's like literally got 2 things on it. Long lists are...
Oh, long lists are out.
Filled with disappointment.
As soon as I start the list, I think I'm only disappointing myself. It's like my training plan. If I write my training plan, I'm only disappointing myself. That's why I just take it day by day. Probably the washing up, Gary, because that would upset me if I do not like washing up. I leave the kitchen, I leave downstairs how I would like to find it if I die in a car crash and the police and my parents come in. I never want them to walk in and go, oh my God, they've been burgled.
That should be the top of everybody's list. If
like,
somebody knocks on the door.
Yeah, so they don't go, what the hell's happened in here? I like the 2 things on the to-do list. Now, maybe this is a good interviewee question we should ask. What's the 2 things on your to-do list for today?
To-do list. Excellent. We do that.
What's
we can
on
do
your
that.
to-do list, Gary? Oh my God, is it me?
Eddie, that is terrible. You might have crossed the line.
I'm so across the line. I just meant to do the podcast.
Imagine if I'd have said that. Flip that around. Oh my goodness.
Cut that out. Cut this out. This is terrible. All we were asking were for people to pop over to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. Or any star review. We're not fussy nowadays. We'll take anything. Any
review will do. But yeah, I'm super grateful, though, because we had a lot of love and a lot of downloads. And I noticed top 3 UK running charts this morning. I'm going to constantly check on a Monday morning. If I need a boost, start of the week, that seems like a very favourable moment for us. And also I noticed Canada too. Top 10 in Canada.
Hello,
I'm not too sure.
Canadians. They are binging on maple syrup and our podcast.
If you listen to us over in Canada, wherever you are. Yeah, thanks so much. But yeah, definitely, please pop over to iTunes or Spotify. I don't know how you leave a review on Spotify, but please leave a 5-star review. Competition time. Harriet Trail running are supplying the prize for this competition. Thank you so much, Harriet. You could win any one item from the Harriet range. It's an awesome prize. You might be in the market for some running poles, a hydration vest, a dry bag, or even an insulated jacket. Loads of other items too. Harriet has got you covered. Thanks to everybody who's already entered. I love seeing all the photographs. It's absolutely sensational. But what do you need to do? Yeah, like the pinned competition post, share the pinned competition post, and in the comments, pop a picture of you out on the trails. We will pick a winner on the 21st of October. What is coming up, Edwina?
I can't pull this back now. I can't pull this back. What's
You've
coming
gone too
up?
deep. Come on, claw it back.
I was going to do a race this weekend. I'm not because I don't want to.
Oh, sad
I don't
times.
want to go. I'm not ready. And also I'm on single parenting duties. So kids come first. The little blighters, they've got various things on, and they're more important than me. Their lives are more important than me. I have nothing in this world apart from driving the car with a protein shake, a flask of tea. No. So yeah, busy weekend. So it's not my time to shine, Gary, and that's fine because honestly, I don't have the mental load or capacity. I'm busy to go racing this weekend. It's all about you.
I'm impressed. You can step back. I love it.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I am reaching the heady age of where my kids' lives and I know my athletic pinnacle has been reached. I'm never going to go back to where I was 10 years ago. I still want to do some adventures. I want to do some big races, but my kids are just starting. They are, as we all know, heavily involved in anything that involves a high heart rate and a danger element. And that's good. That's their chance now, and I will do everything I can to support that. And if that means I can't do some things I want to do, I've had plenty of chance to do what I want to do. And if I really want to do something, like I really want to do Winter 200, I will make that happen, and that will be priority right now. At the moment, settling them into their new lives, making friends, going to parties, go to trying out at various sporting things, that takes and it takes a lot of energy. I tell you what, moving your family and starting a new life, having to be nice to people, everything being new, like everything in your life being completely different takes up a lot of mental.
It's exhausting.
Energy. It's exhausting. I want the kids' life to, even though it's completely different to what they're normal, what they're used to, everything else in their life to be stable. So mum doesn't need to be having a mental breakdown of the fact that she's going to go and do a race. And then the next week, she doesn't need to be really tired and cranky and sore from having done a race. It's not my time. So it's totally fine. And it means I just carry on training. And I love training more than I love racing in some ways. So I don't need to taper and I don't need to recover. So it gives me some more bricks into this fitness journey as well. So I had to take some deep breaths this week. I started off the week rampaging the dogs with a lovely walk. I stretched out my old body on the yoga mat, and I did a lovely Swift session of which I did not hit any of the power markers, and I was proud of that. I thought, I don't know who set these power markers, Coach Eddie, but you are not hitting those today. So I'm not even going to look at them, and I'm going to disappoint Swift for eternity. And that is fine. I try and do Monday as a recovery day. We're recording on a Monday, which we don't normally do. So I try and set myself up for Monday as almost set myself up for the week. You'd think, I used to. You want Monday to be a really strong start. I used to do a workout, and now I'm like, actually, I'm going to ease myself into the week gently and do anything but running and lots of stretching, rolling, mobility, biking, walking. And then I feel better for the rest of the week. I give myself a little bit of time. So
how does that fall? Usually you'd have a recovery day, because most of us, I'd say, when we do their big runs at the weekend, you didn't use
but then normally I haven't done much on the weekend either. I just need and I guess other parents will hear this after a weekend. Like, even though the training load might not have been heavy, you haven't had a lot of time to do anything. You've been back and forth and packing and clearing and doing I was like, doing stuff for other people, which is all good. But then Monday, I like to be able to just have a little bit of space, breathe. I try and do a little bit more complicated work that actually I need to sit and think and go through on a Monday and give myself a bit of time. So there we are. There's going to be nothing special this week. Hopefully a little bit of a smoother ride than last week, and a little bit of a quieter time, maybe a little bit less activities. But let's say, I always say that, don't I? And then something will pop up. What's this week going to look like? How nervous are you?
I feel all right now, but it's Monday. Come Thursday, definitely Friday. I'm not too sure, although I want to do well, I want to have a nice 30 hours. I've got nothing
Are you ready
invested.
for 30 hours?
Yeah, I've never been on my feet for that.
What time of day does it start?
6 p.m.
So you're going to go through one at night, and then you're going to start
100%.
going through a second night.
I'm just basing this on, I'm pretty sure
for this show after this.
I'm pretty sure Mark Derbyshire did it. It might have been a different course, but I'm pretty sure he was 23 hours, and then the second and the third people were around 29 hours. So I don't think I'm going to bother any podiums. I don't bother podiums full stop. But also we don't know who's on the start line. So if all goes well, assuming like Mark Derbyshire's time from the Lakeland 100 this year was at 19 hours, I was 26 hours. So you just add that on. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 30 hours plus. So yeah, I'm defo going to be staggering around questioning my life choices. But yeah, that second night, that is completely
Will you have a little
unknown to
nap?
me. I don't think I will need a nap. We'll see. Maybe I hallucinate. I've never done that before. This is all uncharted territory.
Exciting. It's so exciting. Come and join the club. It's great.
We will see. Oh my goodness me. But yeah, hopefully it's a super chilled week. There is a workout, but it's just, I think it's about 8 minutes with some few hill strides. My training plan assumes that your race is on a Saturday. My race is actually starting on Friday, so I really should do that today, Monday, but it is not going to happen today, so I'll be doing that Tuesday. Lots of mobility, lots of sleep. When that clock hits 9 o'clock, doesn't matter what's going on in the house, I just go, I'm going to bed. That's it. I go. And then I'll wake up to whatever carnage is in the kitchen in the morning. I'll do it all.
You'll wake up. Oh my God, you're going to do a reverse Eddie. I could not do that. Oh, I could not do that.
I can do it in the morning when the house is quiet and chill.
You don't mind? Well, yeah, I do the laundry in the morning. I do the folding and the hanging up, but
Yeah,
I couldn't put my hands in a dirty dishwasher. Oh, no.
So yeah, we'll see how the week goes, but the plan is, not a lot. And hopefully if I can get, decent 8 hours kip every night. And if the alarm goes off before my bladder tells me to get up for a wee, sensational.
Nice. Awesome. That's lovely. That's a lovely way to end the podcast.
I don't feel as fit as I'd like, but I'm banged on about that so much. So I'm going to spin it.
You look fit, Gary.
I do look sensational.
Yeah.
Well, this face.
Fake it till you make it, Gary. Just fake it till you make it.
This face is a leisure accessory, Eddie. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, what? A leisure accessory?
but that's but I'm trying to frame it. I'm trying to frame it positively. I've got zero niggles. Even though
when does that happen? When does that happen?
What happens?
This is not good for the importance of strength talk at the Wild Heart Runners conference next weekend. You're not coming. You're not allowed a guest slot. I've done 0 and I'm fine, Eddie.
As I'm walking, like I'm pooing myself into Grassmere because I'm herniating my disc coming off them fells.
Don't say that.
We'll see. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often. There's always like a niggle. There's always a knee. There's always a hamstring. There's always an achy back. 0. So that is positive. Curious, do I take everything I've got is sweet? Do I take a little bit of Baby Bell as a little savoury?
Have you learnt nothing? Do you listen to nothing?
I could, if I take some cheese with me, I could do, you don't even know this quote probably, but Alan Partridge does a smell my cheese. That's a classic Partridge. So if I take some cheese,
you can. It is great. You can unravel it and then just go past anybody that's looking a bit sad on the trail or people cheering. You can just.
If they're under 45, they just will not get it though. It'll be wasted.
They won't get it, but they'll get they'll get you.
Yeah, I might get disqualified. inappropriate comments to checkpoint staff. Flirting with the idea of going over Thursday evening, spend a night in a youth hostel or something Thursday evening, but I don't think we're going to do that. It's not the big show that the Lake 100 is, so I think we'll be okay just travelling over on Friday morning. Yeah, if you see me on the trails over the weekend or in Keswick or anywhere, yeah, say hello. I'd love to. A little distraction from the world of pain that I'll probably be in.
Hands on the football. Hands on the football. You won't get that.
No, I don't.
Get that.
Is this the what's the cheerleader show that you watch?
Yeah,
Is that
in
it?
the Dallas
Hey!
whenever they want to have pictures with the cowgirl, what do they call cheerleaders? So the cheerleaders hold a football and the guys have to put just their hands on the football so they're not groping the cheerleaders. And so my kids thought that was hilarious. And so when we're doing like family selfies and stuff, they go hands on the football. Hands on the football.
Absolutely love it.
I love it. I have the best time, best race. It's going to be such an adventure. My goodness me, we haven't put it in the schedule, Gary. Your debrief.
Oh, so we're going to do that.
So this is going to be. You are such you. Oh no, we're going to do a podcast all about me. Oh,
me.
I don't want it.
Let's see how it goes first.
No, let's have it. We want the theatrics. We love it. You're gonna have the best time. 2 nights out there. 2 nights is great. You're gonna get the funky.
No, when has that ever been a thing? 2 nights, great.
2 nights is the best. 3 nights, horrendous. 2 nights, you're gonna be surfing that high of like, what the hell is going on? I love it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be back in that 1990s disco. You got this. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you all so much for sticking to us. What a hilarious episode this was. Please share, pop over to YouTube, subscribe, whatever you feel like doing. We're here for it all. That's how we grow and keep showing up week after week. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration, X-Miles and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Remember, all those new customer discount codes, T15 for Protein Rebel and Caps Lock T24 for Precision Fuel and Hydration. Thanks to our partners and Patreons too. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support.
This applies to everybody, but especially if you are towing the line this weekend. Be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe. Progress, not perfection. And take time in all you do. And remember, there's always time for a cup of tea. Let the trail rise up and meet you. And the wind, oh my goodness me, please. And the wind always be on your back. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 89 of the Tea and Trails podcast.